What's up YouTube family, it's your boy Quattro with another video comparing my DJI Osmo Pocket 3 camera to my GoPro Hero9 Black, just to see if there's any functionality differences, quality differences, and ease of use differences. So I took a little stroll out to New Orleans per my usual and met up with a couple of the Audi guys, shout out to RS504, and we decided to take a ride to the Cars and Coffee at Porsche NOLA dealership, as well as take a ride through the back roads just to see what we got. Now obviously it was hot outside and we dealt with a lot of heat soaking issues, so I wasn't able to get a lot of rolling footage, but as you can see here, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 camera did a very good job at tracking my car and keeping the quality up so that I was able to zoom in on some of the images, because it was quite hard to stay close and still drive safely behind the camera car. It does good at focusing on the object, and like I said, the quality is top notch. Here's some footage from my GoPro, which in all honesty, for it being such an older camera, the quality isn't bad at all. It just gets kind of fuzzy when you start trying to zoom in a little more than you should, and I should have some examples of that later, but as you can see here, it's pretty decent. If you're just looking for a basic camera, then the GoPro is definitely your choice, especially if you're getting started like I was a few years ago. The Pocket 3 camera does require that you use some filters in high sunlight conditions, which is every day in Louisiana, right? And so as you can see, sometimes the tone of the footage will change based on what filter I'm using. Shout out to Jack again for assisting me with this, because without knowing that I need these filters, I promise y'all my footage will be more garbage than it is, okay? So this is just us driving around town, I suppose, just getting some shots in the city and just trying to test out this camera and looking at its color balance and all that kind of stuff. But you gotta know what you're doing with this Pocket 3 camera. If you don't understand like motion settings and frames per second and things like that, you can get into some pretty average looking footage, which is kind of like what you just saw there. And especially here, like I thought this would be a pretty dramatic image, but I had to zoom in so much because my car was so far away. And again, this is my first time filming motion with this camera. I didn't know how close I needed to be. So as time went on, the footage kind of got better, but you know, with that sunlight, man, and then as you can see here, sometimes it'll get confused about what object it's tracking. So like if you're filming in a high traffic area and a car passes by, you may actually lose your shot and not even know it. So I also found that using the phone with the DJI Pocket was a lot easier than with the GoPro. Here we are at Cars and Coffee at Porsche of New Orleans, and it was a pretty decent turnout. It was hot, but it was a very good turnout. And I've been getting pretty good at using still footage with this Pocket 3 camera. I actually enjoy it, and I'm learning how to use motions and turns and kind of fade in to fade out of different shots and make them blend a little better the more I use it. So you should be able to tell the difference between my work with my GoPro and my work with my Pocket 3 camera. This car is just awesome. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say that during this video, but this was one of my favorite cars. My son also came with me. He was very hot as well, and he'll be in a lot of these shots, and I just didn't want to exclude him. If he wanted to be in the video, he could be in the video. And so I hope that y'all enjoy some of these shots being taken in the parking lot. There was a variety of cars, from supercars to classic cars, as you see here. And these two, I believe they were E30 BMWs. They were very nice, and one of them has a surprise under the hood that we'll talk about later. As we walk over to the main area of the dealership, you can see a lot of Porsches. This was a 35th anniversary Camaro convertible, which is rare on rare on rare, and CJ really enjoyed this car. His favorite color is red, so he really wanted to take that car home with him. I asked him about this Mustang, and he really just said no, that Mustang wasn't for him. So it has to be red, and he has to touch every car that he sees. So I'm sorry if my son left any fingerprints on your car. He really did mean well, okay? here's a Lotus, very nice Lotus that I've seen before. Some nice C7 Corvette. That thing was loud, but it was very, 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 very hot outside. There's CJ again. This was actually a Max Crane camera car that I thought was pretty interesting. Never really got to see one up close, but it's nice to see how they film those scenes and stuff in movies. There's a McLaren. Excuse my accent, but that's how I like to say it. And of course, you got a Supra over here. I tried my best to make dramatic scenes, but like I said, I am relatively new to this camera, and so I'm trying to figure out angles and shots and things like that. I'm not formally trained in photography or videography. I'm just trying to have fun. So please don't overly criticize me. As I said before, I'm going to try to get better at this, you guys. This car was pretty awesome. A convertible CRX SI. I've never seen one of those before. This car has a transplant that I'm pretty sure did not come with E30 BMWs. Again, here's this car on the inside, and then here's another Porsche. I mean, this car is just nice from inside to out. There's CJ again, falling on cars, touching everything. Just not messing up my shots, but just getting in my shots. There's Jack, the man with the plan, and there's Carrie with the RS6. But again, I was really obsessed with this gold Porsche. They had food and drinks out there for us, so I really appreciate them for providing that, because it was really hot, and you can see that transplant just there. Probably the cleanest CRX I've seen in years. This BMW also had an LS swap on it, which if you're just walking by you may not have noticed, but man, once I took a second take, I said, wait, something doesn't belong here. And then I was wondering what CJ was looking at in the trunk of this Corvair, and I realized Corvairs are rear engine cars, so my son may have knew more than I did about a car, but he's a car guy and I'm a car dad, so we learn from each other, I guess. We were pretty deep in number to this meet as well. We're starting to really get our numbers up. Still don't have a car club name, so we still go by RS504. But I'm really happy with the progress we've made as a car group. We really have camaraderie and we accept each other. And I feel like I really can be myself around these group of guys. And saying that this is all developed in the past 5 years, I don't think any of us expected it to be as big as it is now, excuse me. So here's a little comparison of some more motion footage with the GoPro. Like I said, this is not bad footage at all. I mean, this camera is very, very old, relatively speaking, and it keeps up with the Osmo Pocket pretty much tit for tat. The only issues come when you're trying to get like motion shots, or you really need that good up close quality. You may lose some of that with the GoPro, but like I said, if you're really just trying to stick to like one car shots, if you really are trying to stick to like still shots or things like that, you know, and you know what you're doing, a GoPro of any type, you know, will most likely be able to do what you need it to do. I also want to mention that we were using the MOVMAX arm blade for our footage with the Pocket 3 camera. The GoPro, I was just using a standard suction cup mount, and so you can see some of that with the moving footage. That, you know, if you hit bumps, even though the MOVMAX takes a lot of the motion out of it, the vibration really doesn't come out of the camera, so you have to be careful, particularly when going over bridges and things like that. So there are pros and cons to each camera. I don't think you'll ever find a perfect camera that the everyday person can afford. And so I think either choice would do well. I just really enjoy the Pocket 3 for scenes like this where you can kind of motion around. The Hero Black will try to find objects too, but it's it's like a sharp movement. It doesn't really move well smoothly when it's trying to track a device. It's either all or nothing with it. So that's what I like about the Osmo Pocket 3, is that I feel like it transitions smoother. And that's it. I hope you all enjoyed this video.